It's roughly 60,000 years ago. You're a human. You've got a bad tooth, a worse attitude, and absolutely zero access to a pharmacy. There's no aspirin. There's no antibiotics. There's no guy in a white coat telling you to take 2 of these and call me in the morning. There's just you, a throbbing jaw, and the vast, uncaring wilderness. And yet, somehow, we figured it out. Somehow, this species with no microscopes, no chemistry, and no idea that germs even existed stumbled its way into medicine. Real medicine. Plants that actually work. Surgeries that people actually survived. Treatments we still use today. So how? How did a bunch of confused, half-naked ancestors on the savannah go from ouch to here, chew on this specific bark and you'll feel better in an hour? The answer is way weirder, way older, and way more impressive than you think. And it involves bears, poison, and a skull with a hole drilled straight through it. On purpose. While the person was still alive. Stick with me. Trust me. But real quick, before we dig up 60,000 years of medical history, do me one tiny favor. If you're even a little curious how our ancestors pulled this off, just tap that like button and subscribe. That's it. It genuinely helps this little channel more than you'd believe. And it tells me you want more videos exactly like this one. Deal? Deal. Okay, let's get into it. Here's the thing nobody tells you. The first medicine wasn't discovered by a genius. It was discovered by desperation and a whole lot of trial and error. Emphasis on error. Picture it. Early humans are eating everything. And I mean everything. Leaves, roots, berries, bark, that suspicious mushroom, the other suspicious mushroom. When you're hungry enough, everything's on the menu. And when you eat that much random stuff, you start noticing things. You eat this plant, you throw up. Bad. Avoid. You eat that plant when your stomach hurts, suddenly you feel better. Huh, interesting. That's it. That's the entire origin of pharmacology. Just humans eating stuff, dying occasionally, and slowly building the world's deadliest, most important spreadsheet. A giant mental list of this one heals you versus this one ends you. And they didn't write it down. They remembered it. They told their kids told their kids. And over thousands of years, that knowledge became something powerful, something sacred even. Now here's where it gets genuinely wild. We might not have figured it out alone. Scientists think early humans were watching the animals and copying them. There's a thing called zoopharmacognosy. Don't worry about spelling it. And it basically means animals medicating themselves. It's real. Chimps eat specific bitter leaves when they've got parasites. Not for food. The leaves taste awful and have almost zero nutrition. They eat them to scrape the worms out of their guts. On purpose. Sick bears have been seen digging up and chewing certain roots. Elephants seek out particular plants when they're pregnant. Birds line their nests with herbs that kill mites. So imagine you're an early human. You're watching a sick animal, and it goes and eats one specific plant out of 1,000. And then it gets better. You'd notice that, right? You'd think, well, maybe I should try that too. Our ancestors weren't just smart. They were observant. They look at the world like it was one giant instruction manual. And slowly, quietly, they started reading it. Okay, so this wasn't just random luck. A shocking amount of ancient plant medicine actually works, like proven in a modern lab works. Take willow bark. Ancient people chewed it for pain and fever for thousands of years. Turns out willow bark contains something called salicin. And salicin, that's basically the ancestor of aspirin. You know, one of the most used drugs on the entire planet. Our ancestors were popping proto-aspirin before we even understood what pain was. Then there's honey. Ancient humans slathered it on wounds. Sounds gross, right? Except honey is naturally antibacterial. It literally fights infection. They didn't know why it worked, they just knew that the guy who put honey on his cut didn't die, and the guy who didn't, well, good luck to him. Garlic, certain molds, specific herbs for bleeding. Over and over, ancient people landed on real functional treatments. Not by science, by survival. If it worked, you lived to tell people. If it didn't, you weren't around to give a bad review. That's evolution running the world's harshest clinical trial. And it lasted 100,000 years. Now, I don't want you thinking these people were wearing lab coats and holding clipboards. Because here's the messy truth. For most of human history, medicine and magic were the exact same thing. There was no line between them. None. If you got sick, people didn't think, a bacterial infection. They thought a spirit was angry, a curse, a demon. Bad luck sent by an enemy. So the cure was often part real medicine, part ritual, part pure vibes. The healer, the shaman, the medicine man, the wise woman would give you the willow bark and chant over you and wave some smoke around. And honestly, sometimes that combo worked. Because guess what science just recently rediscovered? The placebo effect. If you believe you're being healed, your body sometimes actually responds. Your brain is a pharmacy of its own. So these ancient healers were doing two things at once without even knowing it. Real chemistry and real psychology. That's kind of brilliant. All right, buckle up, because now we get to the part that keeps me up at night. It's called trepanation, and it is exactly as horrifying as it sounds. Ancient humans would take a sharp tool, a stone, a flint, later a bit of metal, and drill a hole into a living person's skull on purpose. I know, but here's the kicker. It worked. Sometimes. We found thousands of ancient skulls with these holes. And here's the incredible part. Many of them show signs of healing, new bone growth around the hole. That means the person didn't just survive the surgery, they lived for years afterward. Some skulls have multiple holes, all healed, meaning this person went back for round 2, voluntarily, presumably. Why did they do it? We're not totally sure. Maybe to relieve pressure from head injuries, maybe for seizures, maybe to let the bad spirits out. But the point is, this was surgery, real, deliberate, planned surgery, tens of thousands of years ago, with stone tools, and a success rate that, frankly, is more impressive than it has any right to be. These people weren't primitive, they were pioneers. Terrifying, brave pioneers. Want proof this stuff is real and not just a theory? Let me introduce you to a guy we call Ötzi. Ötzi is a 5,300-year-old mummy found frozen in the Alps, perfectly preserved. And when scientists studied his body, they found something incredible. Tattoos. Over 60 of them. But here's the twist. They weren't for decoration. The tattoos are placed right over his joints and his lower back, exactly where he had arthritis and pain. Right on the pressure points. Sound familiar? A lot of experts think this is an early form of pain treatment. Basically, ancient acupuncture. 2,000 years before acupuncture was even supposed to exist in Asia. And that's not all. In his stomach and his gear, they found specific fungi and plants, including one with natural antibiotic properties, and another that fights intestinal parasites, which he had. This man was self-medicating with the right tools for the exact problems in his body. Ötzi wasn't a doctor. He was just a regular guy. And even a regular guy back then walked around with a pharmacy strapped to his belt. Let's zoom out for a second, because this is bigger than bark and skulls and frozen dudes. Every single pill you've ever taken, every surgery, every vaccine, every doctor's visit, all of it traces back to this, to some ancestor freezing and sick and scared who was brave enough, or desperate enough, to try something new, to eat the plant, to watch the animal, to drill the hole, to pay attention. They had no idea what a cell was, no idea what a germ was. They were basically solving the hardest puzzle in existence completely blindfolded. And they did it, piece by piece, death by death, discovery by discovery. Modern medicine didn't start in a lab. It started around a fire, with a healer, a handful of leaves, and a stubborn refusal to just lie down and die. That knowledge, passed down through 1,000 generations of trial and error, is the reason you're alive to watch this right now. Think about that. So the next time you've got a headache and you reach for a little pill without even thinking about it, pause. just for a second, because you're doing the exact same thing that human did 60,000 years ago with the bad tooth. You're reaching for a cure. The only difference is someone already did the hard part. Someone already ate the wrong plant so you'd know which was the right one. Someone already suffered so you wouldn't have to. Medicine wasn't invented. It was discovered. Slowly, painfully, brilliantly, by people who had nothing but curiosity and courage. And honestly, that might be the most human thing we've ever done. So here's my question for you. If you got sent back 60,000 years with nothing, would you survive? Would you know which plant heals and which one kills? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And hey, if you learned something today, you already know what to do. Hit that like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Literally.